Before we begin, tell me in the comments, where are you watching this from? Imagine being a boy who grew up in a small island village where most people never even dreamed of leaving. The streets were narrow, the houses crumbling, and every day felt like a fight just to survive. For Cristiano Ronaldo, this was not just a place. It was the prison he was born into. He came from a family that barely had enough to eat. His mother often spoke about how difficult it was to raise 4 children on almost nothing. His father, battling alcoholism, struggled to keep steady work. Yet within this hardship lived a spark, a dream so strong that no poverty, no ridicule, no setback could kill it. But here's the twist most people don't know. At just 15 years old, Cristiano was told his heart might never let him play football again. That's right. The boy who would go on to become one of the greatest athletes of all time was once told that his own body might betray him. Surgeons warned him that unless they operated, his dream would end before it even began. Can you imagine the fear in his mother's heart to see her son's future dangled on the edge of a medical report? And yet, this was only the beginning of the struggles. Mini hook, because what happened after that surgery didn't break him, it forged him. At school, Ronaldo was mocked for his accent and his skinny frame. Classmates called him names. Teachers thought football was a waste of time. But Cristiano had a vision. He would skip meals to train longer. He would cry when he was sent away from home to join an academy because the distance from his family was unbearable. "I'll make you proud one day," he once whispered to his mother before leaving Madeira. This wasn't just football. This was survival. By the end of his teenage years, the boy who had once been too weak, too poor, and too ridiculed was already being noticed by scouts across Europe. But Ronaldo's journey was still climbing toward its first true turning point, because the world hadn't yet seen the boy who would transform his suffering into power. Success isn't free. It demands a price. And Cristiano Ronaldo started paying that price as a child. At just 12 years old, Ronaldo left his family behind in Madeira to chase an impossible dream in Lisbon. Imagine being a skinny boy, alone in a massive city, where nobody spoke like you, nobody cared where you came from, and everybody thought you wouldn't last a week. He cried almost every night. His mother later admitted that sending him away was the hardest decision of her life. But Ronaldo knew this was his only chance. Football wasn't a hobby anymore. It was his way out. Mini hook. But here's the twist. Instead of being welcomed as a prodigy, he was mocked, bullied, and underestimated. Teammates laughed at his accent, called him names on the island, and teased him for his skinny body. Coaches doubted if he was strong enough to survive professional football. Yet Ronaldo had something far more dangerous than muscle. He had an obsession. While others trained for 2 hours, Ronaldo trained for 4. While others left practice, Ronaldo stayed behind, practicing free kicks until the sun went down. His tears didn't stop him. His loneliness didn't break him. They fueled him. POV, think of the courage it takes for a boy, barely a teenager, to believe in himself when the world refuses to believe in him. And then came the first real turning point. During a youth match, Ronaldo's explosive speed and sharp footwork left defenders frozen. Scouts in the stands whispered his name. One of them said, "This boy, he's different." For the first time, Ronaldo wasn't just another poor kid with a dream. He was a player who could change games. He was a boy the world could not ignore. But every rise brings new obstacles, and Ronaldo's next challenge would test not only his body but his very identity. Every dreamer needs a stage, and Cristiano Ronaldo's stage was about to become one of the greatest clubs in the world. At just 18 years old, Ronaldo's dazzling performance against Manchester United in a friendly match shocked Sir Alex Ferguson. The defenders couldn't stop him. His speed, his step-overs, his confidence. It was like the ball obeyed only him. By the end of that game, United players went to their manager and said, "We need to sign this kid." Within days, Ronaldo became the most expensive teenager in football history. From the dusty streets of Madeira to the Theatre of Dreams, Old Trafford, Mini hook. But here's the twist. The higher he climbed, the heavier his burden became. In Manchester, the pressure was suffocating. Critics mocked his flashy skills, calling him selfish, arrogant, even a show-off. English defenders kicked him hard, testing his resilience. Fans doubted whether he could ever live up to the price tag. Yet, Ronaldo responded the only way he knew how, by working harder than anyone else. Teammates would leave training, but Ronaldo stayed. When they rested, he ran sprints. When they celebrated, he focused on becoming stronger, faster, unstoppable. And soon, the results began to show. Goals, trophies, records. Ronaldo was no longer just a rising star. He was becoming a phenomenon. POV, but behind the stadium lights, a silent tragedy was unfolding. While Ronaldo was conquering Europe, his father, Dennis, was losing a battle of his own, a battle with alcoholism. Ronaldo tried everything: medical treatments, emotional support, desperate pleas. But addiction is a cruel enemy. In 2005, just as Ronaldo was stepping into global fame, his father passed away. He was only 52. Ronaldo later confessed he never had the chance to truly say goodbye. He had dreamed of proving to his father that all the sacrifices were worth it, but life took that chance away. Many hoped this loss could have broken him, but instead, it became his fuel. From that moment, Ronaldo made a silent vow to honor his father's memory not by tears, but by triumphs. Every goal, every trophy, every record from that day carried the weight of a promise only he understood. Turning point, Ronaldo was no longer just a young player with talent. He was a man carrying pain, responsibility, and a hunger that no defeat could match. And soon, the world would witness a new Cristiano Ronaldo, one forged not only by ambition but by heartbreak. Every legend needs a rival, and every empire needs a battlefield. By the late 2000s, Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't just a footballer. He was a global brand. At Manchester United, he won the Premier League, the Champions League, and even his first Ballon d'Or. He had achieved what millions only dream of. But Ronaldo's hunger was not satisfied. Many hope, because true greatness is never content, it always craves more. In 2009, he made a record-breaking transfer to Real Madrid, 94 million euros. At the time, the most expensive footballer in history. The world's eyes were on him. Could he justify such a price? Could he become the king of Madrid? But fate had already prepared the perfect challenge. Enter Lionel Messi, the quiet genius from Barcelona. If Ronaldo was fire, Messi was water. If Ronaldo was power, Messi was grace. Their rivalry wasn't just about goals. It was about philosophy, identity, and destiny. POV, for over a decade, the world didn't just watch football. It watched Ronaldo versus Messi. Every weekend became a war. One would score a hat trick, the other would answer. One would lift a trophy, the other would break a record. Fans were divided into two camps. But secretly, everyone knew they were witnessing history. Many hook, but while the rivalry looked like competition, for Ronaldo, it was personal fuel. Critics always placed Messi above him. They called Messi naturally gifted, and Ronaldo manufactured. But Ronaldo turned those doubts into fire. He pushed his body beyond human limits. Strict diets, relentless gym sessions, endless practice. He wasn't just chasing Messi, he was chasing perfection. And the results were staggering. For Champions League titles with Madrid, for more Ballon d'Ors, records shattered. Most goals in a season, most goals in Champions League history, most international goals. Ronaldo had transformed Real Madrid into a dynasty. POV, but greatness is never built on trophies alone. It is built on the battles you endure, the critics you silence, and the rivals that push you further than you thought possible. And yet, beneath the glory, Ronaldo carried scars, endless pressure, constant criticism, and the shadow of Messi. No matter how much he won, debates raged. Who is greater? Turning point instead of breaking him. The rivalry became his greatest weapon. Every Messi goal forced Ronaldo to push harder. Every Barcelona victory forced Madrid to fight back. The world may never agree on who is number one, but one truth is undeniable. Without Messi, Ronaldo would never have reached this level. Many hook, and without Ronaldo, Messi would never have had to climb so high either. Climax build-up by the mid-2010s. Ronaldo was no longer just a footballer. He was a symbol of ambition, discipline, and willpower. His name echoed beyond stadiums. in fashion, business, and philanthropy. The boy from Madeira had become a global icon. But the journey was not over, because while clubs gave him fame, Ronaldo's heart always burned for something more: the dream of lifting his nation to glory. Club trophies bring fame, but national glory brings immortality. For all of Cristiano Ronaldo's success with Manchester United and Real Madrid, one question haunted him. Could he win for Portugal? He had carried his nation since he was a teenager, playing in Euro 2004, where he cried after losing the final on home soil. He had led them through World Cups, where hopes rose and fell. But despite his brilliance, Portugal was always seen as a small nation, never quite strong enough to win. Mini hook, and then came Euro 2016, the tournament that would rewrite destiny. Portugal started slowly. Critics mocked them for barely qualifying from the group stage. But Ronaldo kept his team alive, scoring crucial goals, lifting spirits and demanding belief. Step by step, Portugal fought their way to the final. The stage was set in Paris. Portugal versus France. A David versus Goliath battle. But destiny is never kind without a test. 17 minutes into the match, disaster struck. Ronaldo collided with a French player. He fell, clutching his knee. Tears filled his eyes. He tried to continue, but the pain was unbearable. Finally, the captain, the warrior, the dreamer, was forced off the field. The cameras captured the moment. Ronaldo weeping on the sidelines, his dreams shattering in front of millions. POV, for most players, that would have been the end. But Ronaldo's story was never about surrender. He returned to the sidelines, bandaged and limping. But instead of sitting down, he transformed. He became a coach, a motivator, a commander. Every second, he shouted instructions, encouraged his teammates, and willed them to believe. Mini hook, and then the twist. In the 109th minute, Eder, a player few believed in, struck the ball from distance and history was made. Portugal had done it. Against all odds, without their captain on the pitch, they had defeated France. Ronaldo felt his knees. Cry again, but this time the tears were joy. After years of heartbreak, sacrifice, and ridicule, Portugal were champions of Europe. Turning point, this was more than a trophy. It was validation. It was proof that Ronaldo was not just a club legend, but a national hero who had given his country its proudest footballing moment. Climax, from the streets of Madeira to the summit of Europe. Ronaldo had completed the circle, but the story didn't end there. He would go on to become the all-time top scorer in international football, breaking yet another record. He carried Portugal to the 2019 Nations League title. And even as age crept in, Ronaldo showed the world that passion and discipline could defy time itself. POV, because Ronaldo's true legacy is not just goals or trophies, it's belief. The belief that no dream is too far, no rival too strong, no obstacle too great. One day, the boots will be hung, the stadiums will fall silent, the cheers will fade, but the legacy, that never dies. Cristiano Ronaldo is not just numbers, not just Ballon d'Ors, Champions Leagues, or records. His story is something much deeper, a living example of how obsession, sacrifice, and belief can transform an ordinary boy into a global symbol. Mini hook, but here's the truth. The man behind the legend is far more powerful than the trophies in his cabinet. Away from the cameras, Ronaldo is a father, a philanthropist, a role model. He donates millions to hospitals, pays for life-saving surgeries of children he doesn't even know, and uses his influence to inspire millions to never give up. His body, sculpted by discipline, became a brand. His name, CR7, turned into an empire, from fashion lines to hotels to businesses across the world. But even with all the fame and wealth, he often says his greatest pride is simple: being the son his mother dreamed of and the father his children can look up to. POV, and this is the real twist. Ronaldo's greatest victories are not the ones scored on the pitch, but the ones fought in silence, far from the spotlight. Every sacrifice, every heartbreak, every sleepless night of training carried one lesson. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Turning point, Ronaldo changed the way the world looked at discipline. He proved that success is not an accident. It is a choice repeated every day. climax, emotional. Because when we look at Ronaldo, we don't just see a footballer. We see a boy who refused to be defined by poverty, a man who turned tragedy into fuel, a warrior who made an island, a nation, and the whole world believe in dreams. Mini hook, and maybe that's why his story is not just about football, it's about us. Because in Ronaldo, we see the struggles we all face. In his pain, we see our own. And in his triumph, we see what we too could achieve, if only we refuse to give up. Legacy, whether you call him the greatest of all time, or simply one of the greatest, one truth remains. Cristiano Ronaldo's legacy will live long after the final whistle. From the narrow streets of Madeira to the heart of every dreamer across the globe, Ronaldo's story will never die.